How's it going, guys? It's Red, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys a super powerful melee setup that you guys can be using right now in Back 4 Blood just after the Children of the Worm DLC. But before we get into that, if you're new here to the channel, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe for more awesome Back 4 Blood content just like this. Also, make sure to check out the link to my Discord server. It's going to be down in the description below. You guys can use it to find teammates to play Back 4 Blood with, so if you guys are in some dire need of teammates, make sure to come check out the Discord server. And without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Alright, so here we are in the deck building menu in Back 4 Blood. This is going to be the complete deck list, so if you guys are just looking to copy and paste the deck, now is your time to do so. But for the remainder of this video, I'm just going to be talking about what role every card plays in the deck and just everything like that. Now, I think the roles for the melee decks have actually changed a little bit ever since the Children of the Worm DLC came out, mainly because of the new enemies that we have, being like the Puff Slingers, the Slashers, and the Crones. Because before the update came out, melee decks kind of just served best to be like on common patrol most of the time, and using things like the baseball bat and just other things that can clear multiple common out in once instead of having to focus on like the special infected. Now I feel like melee is in a spot where you have to prepare yourself to like fight special infected more often, and you have to put like different cards in your deck, like weak spot damaged cards and stuff like that. And I also feel like your actual gun that you have is really relevant now, whereas like beforehand it was more of just like a formality because like you had to have a gun. But with like all of the new Children of the Worm coming out, a lot of them you don't want to like actually run up to them and go hit them, especially something like a slasher, because if it comes to like you against a slasher and you're using a melee weapon, you're probably either just going to go down or you're going to take a lot of damage. Now, obviously, there's exceptions when you have something like, you know, like the fire axe, but most of the time you're not going to, and you're going to have something like a machete or like a baseball bat, and just when you have like those kinds of weapons, you want to stay away from people like the slashers or the puff slingers, and you just want to switch to your shotgun and kill them as quick as possible. And another good reason you want to do this is because a lot of the times these new Children of the Worm special enemies aren't like in the most convenient spots to go get. So you really have to like separate yourself from the team to go get them if you wanted to melee them. And I just feel like that's not where you want to be. I feel like it's just much better to stay with your team and to just use your gun instead and still stay on like the common patrol. But you are much more prepared in this build to face special infected. Alright, so moving on to the first category of the deck, which is going to be our melee attack speed and our melee stamina efficiency. And starting off this category, we have Method, which is going to say each melee swing grants 5% melee speed and 5% melee stamina efficiency for 6 seconds, stacking up to 10 times. And it also says our melee attacks are no longer going to stick in tough enemies, but as a downside, it disables our ADS. Up next, we got Brazen, which is going to give us plus 15% melee stamina efficiency and plus 20% melee attack speed. Next, we got Slugger, which is going to give us plus 5 health, plus 10% melee stamina efficiency, and plus 20% melee attack speed. And to round off this category, we have Berserker, which is going to say each melee kill grants 5% melee damage, 5% melee speed, and 5% move speed for 3 seconds. Now, the reason that we play all of these cards that make us swing our melee weapon faster and use less stamina to do it is because of the fact that we are still on common patrol most of the time. Like, that's still where the melee deck thrives, is where they're just mopping up all the common, and how they do that is by swinging their weapon extremely fast and using not a lot of stamina to do it. Although we are going to have to challenge special infected more often, and we are going to have to swap to our shotgun to deal with things like sleepers or the new Children of the Worm enemies, like, we still have to be on common patrol at the end of the day. Like, we can't forget what our main thing on the team is. Alright, and moving on to the next category, we have Stamina. And to start off this category, we have Adrenaline Fueled, which is going to say whenever we kill an enemy, we gain 5 stamina instantly and an additional 7 stamina over 7 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. Up next, we have Rhythmic Breathing, which is just going to give us plus 40% stamina. And to round off the category, we have Cross Trainers, which is going to give us plus 20% stamina, plus 20% stamina regen, plus 3% move speed, and plus 5 health. Now, I have found that just playing these stamina cards specifically is, like, at least for me, it's where I like to be, because I did have more stamina cards in my previous melee builds, and just with, like, how the playstyle change as a melee player came with the new update, I do feel like having more than 3 cards for your stamina base is just like, it's a little excessive, and I feel like those extra slots could be used just so much better on cards like Guns Out, which, you know, weapon swap speed is actually a pretty important thing in melee now that we have to like consistently switch between our melee weapon and our shotgun, and I just feel like the extra stamina slot is so much better being used, you know, as this instead. Alright, and moving on to the next category, we have damage, which is going to be started off by Mean Drunk, which is going to give us plus 40% melee damage, and our melee attacks cause cleave through enemies, dealing damage in a large area. And up next we have Spiky Bits, which is going to give us plus 15 melee damage, plus 20% damage resistance while using a melee weapon, but we get minus 15% ammo capacity as the downside. Up next we have Heavy Hitter, which is going to say melee hits always stumble ridden the first time they are hit, and this effect can only occur once per target. And the next two cards are going to serve the exact same purpose, that being Reckless Strategy and Killer's Instinct. Reckless Strategy gives us plus 30% weak spot damage and minus 5% damage resistance as the downside, and Killer's Instinct gives us plus 30% weak spot damage, but it disables our aim downsides. And like we saw with Method earlier, we already have our aim downsides disabled, so like this isn't even a downside at this point. Like we're just getting plus 30% weak spot damage with no disablers. So the spread of damage throughout this deck was a little different when I was making it this time. I had Mean Drunk and Spiky Bits just as like the base melee damage because I felt like that was honestly just enough. Because I feel like the only things that we have to swing at more than, 2 times to kill on a consistent basis is the Special Infected. And the best way to kill the Special Infected is to be getting all the extra weak spot damage. And that's why I put an extra weak spot damage card in the deck. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I think just as a melee player now, you have to really be a lot more prepared to face Special Infected. And that, that could mean something like Tall Boys, Crushers, just something that just has a lot of HP and you need to deal with really quickly. And we also still have Heavy Hitter, which is just an absolute all-star in this deck. It's honestly one of, if not the best card in like the entire deck, because just auto-stumbling every Special Infected when you first hit them is just absolutely busted, because it makes it so Snitches, like, never alert. It's going to make it so Crushers drop whoever they're holding. It's going to make it so anyone that's holding any of your teammates, like a Stalker or something like that, it's going to make them drop whoever they're holding. And, I mean, it's basically just going to guarantee that as long as you're not getting hit by, like, another Special Infected, you're going to kill the one that you're hitting. Like, if I were to go hit a Crusher and he was to be stumbled, unless I got hit by like a Stalker or a Hawker or like grabbed by another Crusher, I'm going to kill him before he's like done stumbling. And just being able to do that on, I mean, the most consistent basis that you can, just being able to do it every single time, I feel like is just really strong. And the more that like you keep that in the back of your head, the more that you can actually utilize this to your advantage. Alright, and moving on to the next category, which is just going to be health regen, and to start it off, we're going to have Battle Lust, which is going to say melee kills heal 1 health and 0.125 trauma. And up next we have Face Our Fears, which is going to say we heal 1 temporary health whenever we kill a Ridden within 2.5 meters. Now, as far as like the health regeneration goes, there is another card you can play that is really good, and that's Vanguard, which has melee kills heal 1 health to yourself and teammates within 10 meters. But this is one of the cards that I decided to cut from the deck to add in some of the new stuff, like the damage and the weapon swap speed cards. Like, this card isn't bad, you can still play it, I don't think it's where the deck needs to be. I look at Vanguard the same way as I look at like the extra stamina cards. Like, they're nice, but they just kind of feel like a bit excessive over time, because yes, getting all that extra health does sound nice, but I mean, even with just Battle Lust and Face Your Fears, I'm still just like never in a position where I'm worried about dying, from like actual damage. Like, most of the time when I die with this deck, it's like an exploder, shooting me off the map or something like that. It's not from actual damage. And I feel like just using these two cards is like really all you need to make yourself like self-sustaining, because I mean, with Battle Lust you heal your regular health and you recover your trauma, which I get it, it's only 0.125 trauma, but like that's just saying get 10 kills and you get a trauma back. And I mean, when the Ridden are coming and there's packs of 90 to 100 common just running at you, like as long as you can just manage to not get hit and you're still getting temporary health every time you get these kills, which is going to mean that every time you get hit it's going to take off the temp health and not take off your real health and add more trauma. It just makes it so you are really self-sustainable. And for the last card in the deck, we have Guns Out, which is going to give us plus 50% weapon swap speed and minus 5% damage resistance as the downside. Now, the reason that this card is in here is simply because of the new Children of the Worm DLC. Like, you have to switch to your shotgun a lot more often now, because as long as you're playing on Nightmare or higher, there's basically always going to be either a Puff Slinger, a Crone, or a Slasher just in your maps, basically in every single mission. And a lot of them, it's really inconvenient or just really not smart to go try to run up and hit them in the face with your baseball bat, because they're either going to deal a lot of damage to you or they're going to down you, or you're just going to get caught by like a Special Infected or something, and it's just not where you want to be. Where you want to be is switching back and forth between your melee weapon and your shotgun, and that just makes life a whole lot easier. And the reason that I played Guns Out is because I felt like it was the only card that really suited what the melee deck was trying to do. Because Cocky, I think this is just too much. I don't like Cocky in this deck, and I felt like Shooting Gloves just wasn't good enough. I felt like 25% weapon swap speed wasn't really where you wanted to be, and I didn't want to just try to get other cards that had minor amounts of weapon swap speed in them just to get, like, you know, more of it incrementally. I would rather just have one card to get it over with in this deck specifically.
Well, that's going to do it for the video, guys. Make sure to leave a comment down below telling me any deck changes that you guys would make, and as always, if you happen to enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more awesome Back 4 Blood content just like this. Also, make sure to check out the link to my Discord server. It's going to be down in the description below. You guys can use it to find teammates to play Back 4 Blood with, so if you guys are in some dire need of teammates, make sure to come check out the Discord server. And until next time, it's been Red, and I'll see you guys in the next video.